Hello, you awesome friends. This is your pal, Edward Zia speaking. Welcome to tonight's live webinar, or if you're watching the recording of this in the awesome Marketing Vault many years later, it's an absolute pleasure engaging with you through this online medium. Now, you have joined me for a really great webinar, and this is a topic that I'm right into, which is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a very, very great social media platform that I spent a bit of time on to use to grow my own business, and also I've trained a lot of corporates and my own clients in using this platform. Great platform, highly recommend it depending on whatever you're doing. And in this webinar, if you're listening to the recording, you can send me questions via email or contact me. And if you're listening to this live, please ask lots of questions. So without further ado, let's get into everything. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about life revolutionizing marketing. These strategies and a lot of the things that I've taught have totally changed the lives of people. Really pay close attention to what I'm going through. And like always, this webinar is general educational advice only. If you've got any questions, please ask me. Please ask me so I can give you the best advice possible to help you kick butt in your business. And now these are the three things that we stand for. All of our ideas and our thinking and our culture is about grow, succeed, and prosper. I want you to get more profitable clients. I want you to enjoy your job. And I want you to earn the money that you and your family deserve. And like all things, this webinar is performed on the house. The recording is available in the awesome Marketing Vault and the like. And feel free to ask questions. If you're a client or a Vault member, you can stay back at the end and we can talk about your business and whatever you're working on. Also as well, this is a content-rich webinar. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick to the content. But at the end, if you're interested in working with me, feel free to stay on as I go through a few great options. Now, for those that don't know me, I am Edward Zia. I'm a marketing mentor. I've actually moved on a bit since that photo. I actually don't wear Hawaiian shirts anymore, and I've been doing a lot of weight, so I look a bit buffer. I'm an ex-military, federal policing character once upon a time, spent years as a corporate marketing director. I've been lucky to work with hundreds on a personal level, and I've touched thousands throughout my workshops and my business. I've had a very varied life. I got really successful, crashed at one point in life, and now I'm super successful. So my goal is to keep growing on top of that. So it's going really well. I do a lot of charity work. I'm in the Order of St. John, and I also love the Salvation Army. Now, getting straight into the topic, I want to give a big shout out to a fantastic woman by the name of Jillian Bullock. Jillian Bullock's an old client and friend of mine, and she is the LinkedIn Ninja Down Under. I'm actually drawing on some of her materials in this one. Feel free to Google her or add her to LinkedIn and tell her I sent you, but write down the name Jillian Bullock. She's an amazing woman, and she is a LinkedIn technical specialist. So just explaining our differences, I'm a marketing mentor and entrepreneur who has learned to use LinkedIn from that point of view. Jillian is a LinkedIn specialist. So she knows every inch of the platform, and she's an absolutely amazing one I just want to acknowledge. Now, talking about what you hear tonight, I just want to give a few stats and get straight into how I have used LinkedIn to totally succeed. LinkedIn started in 2002. It's Earth's #1 professional social media platform, and a lot of it, me included, consider it the natural online extension to professional business networking. It is absolutely huge in Australia. And just giving you some sites, this is basically a survey of 1,100 people that I think Census did in Australia. And of course, 93% use Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook, even me. I was playing on Facebook before this. However, 28% of people are on LinkedIn. Now, I know next to Facebook that might look like the poorer cousin, but I want to explain it this way. Facebook is social behavior. It's browsing, watching videos, looking at cats. LinkedIn is professional-based behavior. So depending on what you're doing in your business and your target, if it's corporates and serious people, LinkedIn is very good for that. And talking LinkedIn for small and medium enterprise, and this is quoting the awesome Jillian Bullock here, and this is some of her material. 90% of the Australian workforce over 25 is on LinkedIn. That's 6 million Australians. And 86% of people who have hired someone have claimed to use LinkedIn as a deciding factor. So basically, and I can personally test for this, before anyone ever hires me, they usually add me and check me out on LinkedIn from top to bottom. So now if you think about it from your point of view, even if you're a big employer, let's say you're working for Canon. I've actually got a networking event there tomorrow, but let's say you're working for Canon or Dell or Microsoft or something like that. One, it could be easy to say, well, I work for Dell or Microsoft or Canon, so no one cares about me. Not true. When you are selling, be it it's your own services, your own technology, or let's say you're working in a corporate and you're selling massive technology, It highly hinges on you because ultimately, whether you're working for Microsoft or yourself, people are ultimately doing business with you. Hence, LinkedIn and them checking you out becomes quite important. Now, LinkedIn's a massive area. Jillian Bullock just does LinkedIn. Her whole business is built around LinkedIn, and she's absolutely awesome at it. And what I'm going to focus on is I'm not here to go through all the features of LinkedIn. I'm here to tell you of the top things that I, as in myself, do personally that has worked incredibly well for me. The reason being is that the thing that I find with any social media platform, be it Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever the case may be, or LinkedIn, it's very easy to look at all these features and say, oh, cool, which of the features am I going to use? It's too hard, if you get my drift. So what we're doing here is I'm just going to tell you what I do. So I'm actually going to deliberately ignore a lot of aspects. And it doesn't mean that those aspects don't work. It's just not what I do. So I'm here to tell you about my own personal experiences as I have this walkthrough with you. Now, there's 7 marketing methods I'm going to go through. They're all listed here. I'm going to go through it slide by slide. And I'm going to talk it through and give some commentary and invite you awesome friends on the live webinar experience to please ask questions. If it's in the future and you're listening to the recording, please email me. You know where to find me because I'm here to help. Number 1 is strong profile and SEO. This is the number 1 thing. Now, we've already covered this one. People will at least 80% of the time, let's say, check you out on LinkedIn before they hire you. It is the first impression. This happens to me quite a bit, actually. Quite often before someone hires me, they probably will connect with me on LinkedIn and we'll exchange a few messages, say hello. They might visit a webinar or whatever the case may be. It is important. Now, the other thing I want to point out as well is that often you appear quite highly on Google. Now, it depends on your name. I've got quite a rare name, Edward Zia. We've got the awesome Mark McPherson on the line. Hello, Mark. Love your work. I know Mark. He's a cool guy. I'm going to use him as an example. Let's say Mark McPherson has got quite a rare name. If you type in Mark McPherson on LinkedIn, because there's not many Mark McPhersons around, you'll probably appear number 1 in Google search results. If there's quite a few Mark McPhersons, you've got to work on your profile to beef it up. Now, I notice that everyone on the line has pretty unique names. So if your name's Stephanie Smith, it's a bit tricky. But outside of Stephanie Smith, you've got nothing to worry about. Now, what I'm getting at is that it's very important that you have a really good profile. You've written it well. It looks good for several reasons. SEO. People will type in your name. They will Google stalk you, especially if they are about to hire you. Now, what's very important is you write really, really, really good content. This is my own profile here. I've written it myself. Using a general flow, feel free to, borrow, beg, steal, get inspired by this. If you haven't already, please add me as a friend on LinkedIn or as me as a connection on LinkedIn. And you can have a look at my profile, look at the way that I've written it, and feel free to adapt it to yourself. I know a really good copywriter if you want me to refer you to her to write it. Otherwise, you could even hire me to write it, whatever the case may be, or you can write it yourself. The big point is that before you start really using LinkedIn as a marketing tool, you must make your profile look good. That includes, I'll just go to the start to demonstrate. That includes a very, very beautiful photo. So pick a good photo, really good description of yourself, and really make sure you get your name, your details, and your history quite well and accurate. Now, it does take a bit of time. It will take you quite a few hours to build your LinkedIn profile and do it well. And I'm forever tweaking it. But make no mistake, and I'll tell you this now, people go through every bit of your LinkedIn profile. I've had people say to me, Ed, I was on your LinkedIn profile and you're in the Army, you're in the engineering corps, great. Ed, I was on your LinkedIn profile and you're a Christian, that's awesome. Please trust me on this one. Get your profile right. You could hire someone like me to do it, someone like Jillian or whatever, or you can do it yourself, but make sure you get this perfect. I cannot stress that enough. So feel free to add me and you can get a feel for it. Number 2 is add everyone and build influence. Now, this is quite a funny one, and people that know me in the real world know I'm very good at this and I'm very serious about this. Ultimately, our success as business people really depends on our influence in the community to some point or another. Now, let's say, I'll use 2 extremes. Let's say you are a business development manager for Canon, hypothetically, or Dell or Microsoft Australia. You have to have a really good community standing just so corporates will feel comfortable working with you and people will feel comfortable hiring you. On the other end of the spectrum, let's say you own a coffee shop down street Parramatta or something like that. If people don't like you, they're not going to shop with you. So ultimately, depending on wherever you sit between products and the whole spectrum of your business, especially if it's professional services, this is more the end of it, which I'm sort of focusing on, is you must be good. You must be well liked, and it's about your influence and how well people respect you. Now, what I love doing with LinkedIn is I add everyone to LinkedIn. And I do this all the time, and I actually did this last week, for example. I went for my first visit to the British Chamber of Commerce last Thursday. It was a whiskey night, and I joined. I drank a lot, and I took the train home, and my awesome wife picked me up, and it was great. Now, what was interesting is that I met 20 people, and the next day I didn't have much on, thank God, because I had a headache too. But I met 20 awesome people, and I booked 2 meetings, which I'm really excited about. Now, in this scenario, what I did was with all 20 people I met, I think it's about 18 or 20. Let's just say 20. I think it's about 18 actually, but let's say 20. I added them all to LinkedIn. This is the next day. I added some to Facebook that I felt comfortable with, and I sent them all an email saying it's great to meet them, and I sent them a copy of my corporate profile. Now, basically, let's say hypothetically, and I doubt, let's say none of them become clients. None of those 20 people become clients. I now am connected to 20 people more than I once was. If I'm meeting at least 20 people a week, and I do this for like 10 weeks, that's 200 people. And what happens, if you think about it this way, out of 200 people, someone will be crazy enough to hire me. And that is an important part of it. The more connections you have, the more people you know, the more people that know you is the more successful you are going to be. And I've got a question from the awesome Mark McPherson. He said, for later, not now. But you know me, Mark, I always like jumping in. Awesome Mark McPherson's online, cool guy, been watching his videos. Let's read out his question, shall we? There is a Mark McPherson who's a real estate agent, and his name is in lots of papers, paper and digital. And lots of other people mention him, so his ranking is always 1, 2, 3, and 4 on Google. This is a great point that Mark's raised. Depending on your name and how lucky you are, you might have a name that no one else has. There's only like 2 Edward Zias I've found in the world, so I'm pretty good. Most people usually don't have a huge problem. But in the case of the poor, awesome Mark McPherson, there sounds like there's a big real estate hotshot with his name. Now, there are several options you've got here, okay, to work through it. Let's say, for argument's sake, the Mark McPherson real estate agent, this guy is just huge. The only way you're going to get a good ranking on Google is having more references of your Mark McPherson name than his. So in my case, for example, I've got my Facebook page, I've got my LinkedIn, I've got my Twitter, and I've got my website. It all has my name, Edward Zia, strewn throughout of it. So there are a few other Edward Zias in the world, and they don't compete. Now, that is one way of looking at it, is basically getting your name out more across the whole internet so you rank more. And it's all integrated and stuck together too. And this is what I mean. Let's say you've got a really good LinkedIn profile, and you've also got a really good Twitter page, and you've got a good YouTube channel, and you've got a website with your name in it. The more you appear on other parts of Google is the more it will help your SEO, if that logic makes sense. So that's one way of looking at it. Ultimately, poor Mark McPherson, to fight the American real estate agent or the Australian real estate agent, has to get his name out there more. What you can also do, and this isn't for everyone, but just putting it out there, some people choose to use initials in their name. So let's say Mark's middle name is Leslie, for example. What the awesome Mark can do is say is Mark L. McPherson, for example. So there's a few strategies there on how to deal with it. Hope that helps, Mark. For some people, just being honest with you, it depends how lucky you are. I'm quite lucky. Some people can be horribly unlucky. Usually about 80% of people can manage it. It's just a matter of outdoing it. So I hope that helps, awesome Mark McPherson. So please ask more questions. So going back here, add everyone and build influence. This is actually a photo from the British Chamber of Commerce I took last week, actually a cut from a video I made. Hello, awesome Jennifer. Now, in this scenario, there's a lot of people. You can see suits in there, a lot of affluence there. I was very impressed with the event. I know I'm going to pick up lots of clients there, so hence I just joined immediately at the British Chamber. If any of you guys are interested on a side note, just let me know. Send me an email. I can tell you more about it. I just fell in love with the place. One of my favorite places in town. Now, bring it back to LinkedIn. This is the event I went to last week. I've added at least 20 people. I had the 20 people that I met. And what I'm going to do is, as I go to more events, we use the British Chamber as an example, I'm going to be adding more and more people to LinkedIn. My influence is going to increase. I'm going to be staying connected to those people. And think about it. If I'm meeting like 50 people, Usually, let's say 1 out of 50 hires me. That's awesome. Let's go meet 200 people and I get 4 new clients. If you're following the way I'm applying the numbers, hope that helps. So let me know if anyone that one. I got an awesome question from the Alfred Blanty. Great having you on tonight. Edward, do you have a premium LinkedIn account to dominate Google? That is a great call. I do believe having a premium LinkedIn account will probably give you a greater SEO presence. So I do recommend LinkedIn Premium. It is not for everyone, but if you are on this webinar or you are listening to this webinar, you probably are serious about LinkedIn. Hence, I would recommend going to LinkedIn Premium. I've been on it for years and it's highly recommended. Next one, share content and get signups. Now, LinkedIn is quite good for this. It's great to share content on LinkedIn. It can be sharing your website. It can be you trying to drive online sales, fill your live webinars, blogs, whatever the case may be. I am forever sharing content on LinkedIn. Now, ironically, I was sharing my LinkedIn marketing webinar on Facebook and LinkedIn, inviting people to join. And here's an example of a post I've shared on it. You've got programs like Buffer and Hootsuite, which are automatic. Feel free to write them down, Buffer or Hootsuite. I personally use Hootsuite. Hootsuite works very well with LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google+, but do not use it with Facebook, okay? But you can manually share content, or if you're a real serious blogger like I am, you can use a program like Hootsuite to share content. So I hope that bit helps. It is very good. In this case, I'll just use an example. You're listening to the recording, or you're on this live webinar tonight. The way I do it is exactly this. This is exactly the way a lot of us run our businesses. I put on free live webinars like this. I make them content rich. I work my butt off to answer your questions in the hope one of your people will think, hey, Ed does know what he's doing, and I'm going to choose to hire him. So that's basically how it goes. So it is great to share content. You might just promote your website. If you're writing blogs as well, that works incredibly well as well. The next one is supporting and building relationships. Now, this is an inference to what I was saying before, or a reference to what I was saying before, not an inference. And basically what it is that a lot of people, and this is what I recommend, you might just log into LinkedIn, 5 to 10 minutes a day or whatever the case may be. When you spend a bit of time on LinkedIn and you get to know people, you get to like their posts, you get to make comments and that sort of thing, all of it adds up because you can see what people are up to. And it basically, the way I look at it is it gives you a great professional way of staying connected to other people. And it comes down to this, and this is the way I look at it. And this is the way the awesome Martha Arafin puts things, if you know my friend Martha. The way it works is such as this. Let's say hypothetically you meet someone and your default is it takes them 12. If you just meet someone once and they forget about you, let's say hypothetically it will take them 18 months to hire you. If you stay connected with them and they see your stuff more often, they might hire you within 3 months. So this is the way we sort of look at it. Also, as well, giving and receiving recommendations is important. So if you want to get lots of recommendations on LinkedIn, make sure you give them out. Again, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. If you haven't, check out my recommendations. It is a fantastic tool. What I love about the recommendations is they can't be screwed with, okay? They cannot be screwed with, because and it adds some integrity to the platform. So again, it's good for supporting and building relationships, which can lead to sales. Now, this is one that is very popular and a lot of people love, and this is where LinkedIn Premium kicks in. The advanced search feature. Now, my awesome pal, Alistair Boyd, there you are, Alistair, hope you're well. He targets, I think from memory, operational managers and factory managers and that type of thing. Now, what is very good about the LinkedIn, especially the premium functionality? I think the smallest plan is $60 a month from memory. But what is really good about it is that you can do a search, and based on people what they do, you can search for HR managers in Dell or HR managers in the CBD with companies of at least 10 people. And what I really love about this functionality of it, and here's just a screenshot of LinkedIn from my screen, is you've got heaps of great options in the advanced people search. They can be direct connections, they can be second layer, they can be, a seniority level, they can be a company size, and it can be within a postcode. It is absolutely fantastic. So let's say the awesome Alistair Boyd, he is targeting factory managers or operational managers from west of Sydney. Easy, put in the postcode for west of Sydney. I think it's in miles, so they say 20 miles. Wish they do kilometers, but yeah, Americans are like. And he might just say all people that are operational managers. Now, what I'll do is I'll give you a list of those people. Now, this is where there's a bit of a debate here, actually. There's a bit of a debate on how to do it, and I know where I stand on this one. Let's say you use the advanced search feature and you identify who the people are. Okay, so let's say you've identified 20 people, which is very easy to do, that you want to make contact with. There's several ways of doing it. What LinkedIn recommend is that you send them a premium in-mail, which is very good. You do have in-mails to send them. Another way of doing it is you can look at who they are connected to that you're connected to, and you can ask for an introduction. You can do it through a LinkedIn platform. I'll tell you my favorite, and this is the way I do it. You can use a LinkedIn platform to do it, and I do recommend that because LinkedIn are fantastic. The other way is if you find out, for example, that at Microsoft, Doris Dunion, who's on the line. Hello, Doris. Doris Dunion is the marketing manager of Microsoft Australia, and you want to make contact with her. You can contact her through LinkedIn. But another way of doing it is you might know someone who's connected to her through LinkedIn by checking out her profile. And you might ring out that person and say, how well do you know Doris? Can you introduce me to her? So personally, I'm the sort of guy that I'm not a complete, granted I'm an extremely powerful online marketer. I like bringing in the real world as much as I can because ultimately the thing is that if you just send messages to, like if you go in, how can I put it? If you just go in completely cold, like they don't know you, they've never heard of you, you're just saying hello and trying to sell yourself, the reaction can be not that engaged. But if you can get like an introduction or something like that, it really does help. So again, if you got nothing, if you got nothing and you have to go in cold, please go in cold because it's better than nothing. But if you can get an introduction or go in warm, preferably by the phone, that is personally how I like to do it. And that's the way I've done it personally. I have had some success with in-mails, which is good. But personally, I prefer getting on the phone and I use in-mails as a last resort. Okay, so several different ways of doing it. But ultimately, it's still very good. Please use LinkedIn Premium, though. I'm not trying to talk you out of LinkedIn Premium because, again, LinkedIn Premium is good and it gives you great functionality. Doris Dunion says, hi, Ed, you rock. I think you're awesome too, Doris, and welcome along tonight. Number 7 is assisting sales and presence. Now, I'll give you a good example. This happens quite a bit, and I'm just going to paint it. And this person actually hired me today, of all things, and I'm very grateful for that. And they're actually on the line, so I'm actually quite blessed to have him here. And this is basically the way I've condensed it. And this is the way LinkedIn fits into the ecosystem of the rest of our other marketing. I met someone at a networking event. I got referred to them by a colleague as well. We're connected on LinkedIn. They like my Facebook page. They booked into a live webinar. They're on my live webinar. They listened to my live webinar. They like me. And let's say the person actually already hired me, which I'm quite blessed about because I met with them the other week. But let's say they didn't. It could be like this. I met someone at a networking event. I got referred to them by a colleague. We connected on LinkedIn. They like my Facebook page. They booked on my live webinar. They listened to my live webinar. They liked me, and then they hired me. That's actually happened before. Not in this person's case, but that's actually happened before. And the thing I want to point out is, and this is beyond LinkedIn, but I want to make this point very clear. When you're in business and you're in marketing, and I've done this before, and please don't do it, and I've done this before, it wastes a lot of time and stresses you out. It's very easy to sit there and say, oh, good, LinkedIn's going to save my life, or Facebook's going to save my life. I'm going to go to this networking event and everything's going to, this is going to turn everything around. It's never like that. LinkedIn is a platform that works in conjunction with everything else. And I'll use Facebook as an example. People just don't hire me straight from Facebook. This might sound odd. People might get to know me through Facebook, but eventually they'll meet me or talk to me on the phone before they actually buy my awesome marketing vault or hire me as a direct mentor. Okay, so understand this. Please get this point. It fits into your whole marketing strategy. So it's not like LinkedIn has made me all this money. Well, it actually has, but it's not like LinkedIn by itself has made me all this money. It's worked in conjunction with the rest of my marketing ecosystem. And in that respect, it's made me lots of money. So does that make sort of sense? Please don't look at things on their own. It doesn't work that way. Hey, I got the awesome Alistair. Thanks for the reference. It impressed my niece, Anna, who's also listening. Hello, the awesome niece, Anna of Alistair. Boy, your uncle is a cool dude. I like him very much. I have a lot of respect for him. So hello, everyone. Got quite a crowd tonight, actually. It's quite a hot topic. So I hope that answer helps. It is something to very much note. So what it is that it helps your presence and it helps bring it all together. And just a few honourable mentions that I'm going to go through in a wrap. Please use LinkedIn Premium. Please upgrade to it. I highly recommend it. Now, another thing that we just touched on, you'll hear about first layer and second layer. First layer basically means it's someone you're directly connected to. And second layer is someone who's connected to someone that you know. So let's say in the example in the authors, Doris Dunion is the marketing manager of Microsoft Australia. Let's say I'm not connected to her, but the awesome Alistair is, and I'm friends with Alistair on LinkedIn. Doris will appear second layer because she is via the first layer of Alistair. So let's say Alistair and Doris get along very well. I can say, hey, awesome Alistair, can you please introduce me to Doris? And he goes, sure, Edward. Then that way, even though I found Doris through LinkedIn, I've got a real world introduction to make it a lot better, which brings me to my next point. Going in cold is tricky. It's not just for LinkedIn, it's any strategy. When it comes to sales and marketing, or more sales in this remark here, no one likes going in cold. Cold is harder because they don't know you and they don't trust you. Whenever you can get an introduction or a referral, it is always best. Again, it's not always possible, but it's what we always try for. The other point I want to make as well as an honourable mention is it's quite good on mobile now. I actually quite like the mobile app. Probably about 2 years ago, the mobile functionality of LinkedIn left a lot to be desired, but now it is outstanding. So what I'm going to do is, awesome friends, is I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a quick wrap of the items that I've gone through. I've done a very, very fast and rapid job tonight. And while I'm going through things, as I do a quick wrap, I want you to ask me your questions so you know how to adapt it to you. So I'm going to do a quick wrap from the start because it's quite important, okay? And I just want to do a quick wrap while we bring it all together. So let's take it right from the top. Thank you to Jillian Bullock. She is absolutely awesome. LinkedIn's been around since 2002 and it's a natural extension of the online business networking. Even though Facebook does get used more than LinkedIn, remember LinkedIn is professional in nature. In terms of small business owners and Australia, over 6 million people are on it, and 86% of the market claim to use LinkedIn as a deciding factor in closing a deal. That I completely agree with based on me. There are heaps of different ways of using LinkedIn. I'm not talking about the ones that all the methods. I'm talking about what I've used personally. Just so you know, I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn groups. I've never gotten anything out of them. But just putting it out there, that is a feature and aspect available. These are my top 7 marketing methods, which I really like. Get your profile good and dominate Google. Add everyone and build influence. Share content and get really good signups. Force support and build relationships. Find decision makers using LinkedIn. It works incredibly well. Make first contact and get meetings. The advanced search feature is great, but please try and get warm introductions. That could be using the LinkedIn functionality or getting on the phone. And just a few honourable mentions as well. Use LinkedIn Premium, try and get warm introductions, and it works great on mobile. So if you've got to wait at the train station or whatever the case may be, or going for a walk like I do, pull out your phone and you can play with it then. So that way, it's no extra time. If you can just go for a walk and play on your phone, it works really well. Hey, I got a question from the awesome Alistair. Edward, can you have different accounts for different parts of your business, e.g. private businesses and my employer businesses? Alistair, I'm sorry, no, you cannot. So with LinkedIn, LinkedIn and Facebook are similar in that regard. It is one account per person. Now, I will explain one thing though. You can have a company page in LinkedIn and its own associated account, but in terms of actual people, it is one account per human. If you have got multiple accounts, please delete the old ones because you technically aren't compliant with LinkedIn. And the reason is that, again, I'm not a cop or anything. I'm not with the LinkedIn Gestapo or anything. But when it comes to social media, I like to keep my nose clean and work exactly with the platform. The reason for that is that, look, if you're doing the wrong thing, it's a reason for them to kick you out. So if something else goes wrong or your profile gets flagged, you might get your profile terminated. So with Facebook and LinkedIn, I don't mess around because I love those platforms. I make money out of them, so I play by the rules. So make sure you do that. But I hope that helps, awesome Alistair, so please ask me questions. So what I'm going to do is, awesome friends, you've been a great audience. I've chewed through this one very quickly. I'm just going to wrap up with a few ways that you awesome people can work with me. So if you're already a client, you've heard it before, feel free to head off. Or as well, if you've got questions, now is the time to ask me as I go through it. And of course, if you want to hire me or something to the Awesome Marketing Vault, I'd love to talk to you about it. So first things first, there's marketing mentoring of Edward. You can leverage my advice and knowledge and we can work together one-on-one and I can teach you great strategies to help you succeed. The best place to check out first is the Awesome Marketing Vault by Edward Zia. Is my online course and knowledge base. It's just $97 a month and you can learn more about it at my website. Hey, we've got a question from Jeff Sue. Does advertising on LinkedIn work? Now, it's a good question, actually. I personally don't use the advertising functionality of LinkedIn. I'm actually not a huge fan of it. And it possibly, not necessarily there's anything wrong with it, but it doesn't quite suit my business. And I'll tell you what. In the work that I do, I'm actually quite broad in the sort of person I target. I more target people not based on so much what they do for a living, but based on their personality and entrepreneurial style. So it really depends on what you're doing. I found the LinkedIn advertising hasn't suited me. However, I've got clients that are right into it, because let's say you're just targeting HR managers or manufacturing managers. You can do an ad campaign just to those people. So in difference, what I love about LinkedIn advertising over Facebook advertising is Facebook advertising, you can't really target, you can target what people are interested in, but you can't really target what they do. On LinkedIn, you can target what they do. So if you've got a product that is just for this certain type of people, the LinkedIn advertising can actually be outstanding. So yeah, again, I don't use it personally because it doesn't suit my personal business, but if it does suit what you're doing or you're targeting a particular demographic, it is something I would highly recommend and look at. And talking to how good it is, you don't have to spend much money. You could test very little to test out, make it work. So let's say, for example, I know Jeff Zia is in the solar industry, for example. He's a cool guy. Let's say he's targeting construction managers from companies. Absolutely. You would, when you've got a bit of funds to experiment with, you would absolutely try an ad campaign targeting those people and seeing what you get, to see if any of those actual visits to your site turn to leads. Now, several things about it. Again, this is a whole other conversation, and we're here to talk about LinkedIn tonight. But whenever you do any form of advertising online, ultimately you're taking them to your website. Your website has to be awesome, because where a lot of people go wrong, and I've done this, and I don't want you guys to make the same mistake, is you spend all this freaking money on advertising, but your site doesn't convert. So just something to keep in mind. So hope that helps, Jeff. In your case, it might actually work quite well. So something to think about. So very, very good. There, pleasure, Jeff. So just moving on. Hey, you got a question from the Awesome Marketing. Awesome Mark. Mark the marketer, huh? Awesome Mark McPherson got a question from him. Great to have you on tonight. Edward, and I'll just read it out. It's a good commentary, actually. Edward, I totally agree with you, Edward, about LinkedIn groups. Some people still tell us we should be in them, but my experience was I spent a lot of time hanging around with people just like me. That is, they were not my target group. Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It's funny. I couldn't agree with you more. Hang on a second. I'm just going to sip my lemon honey. Oh, that is good. Anyway, I agree with you, Mark. It's funny, when I started out, I've been in business for about 5 years now, and I've been seriously using LinkedIn for 5 years. Now, what's interesting about this is that everyone said at the start, oh, Ed, you got to be on the LinkedIn groups. Oh, they're really good. And I just found they were just shit, to be honest with you. Again, it might be the sort of business I was in, and I just found that I would wind up in groups and everyone's just advertising junk to each other. So, after about a year or two, I maybe have experimented with groups every now and then, but I just decided the groups weren't for me and I stayed out of it. Now, I will defend groups for the moment. I know a few people that do very well out of LinkedIn groups when they're in a very particular industry and they know exactly the nature of the group. So some LinkedIn groups can work incredibly well. But I found, all in all, to be honest with you, I don't know, I only know maybe two of my clients who are in particular industrial niches that have done very well out of groups. Most of us, me included, haven't gotten anywhere with groups. So again, depends on what you're doing, but groups, I don't know. Most groups ultimately end up people just advertising crap to each other. Just so you know, I have a similar view of Facebook groups as well. I think, giving some fair commentary, I think when groups first came out, they were quite good, but you only need a few people on there advertising their stuff and they lose a lot of value. So that's my take on the groups. I'm not a fan. So great question, Mark. Everyone else, keep your questions coming through. These are really good and appreciated. Going back to my awesome sales pitch, check out my website. I've got the Awesome Marketing Vault. It's just $97 a month, and it's a great tool which works incredibly well. It's got heaps of great strategies and videos. You can get direct access to me, and it's just $97 a month. It's really good, a great place to get started, and something I highly recommend. And I got a question from Doris Dugnon. Do you get a lot of shares from your posts on LinkedIn? And so do you get leads from that? A good question. The answer is, on LinkedIn, I actually don't get a lot of shares of my posts. A lot of people don't share it on LinkedIn. I seem to get more shares on Facebook. But I do get a lot of engagement on my posts. And yes, absolutely, I've gotten many leads and clients from LinkedIn. Usually the way I do it ultimately, though, is I do get some leads from LinkedIn. I actually have quite a few over the years leads from LinkedIn saying, hi, Ed, what are you about? Can we talk about business? Usually, though, I more use LinkedIn to fill my live webinars, and then people come to my live webinars and they'll hire me after that. So it really depends on what you're doing and the way you do it. But exactly, if you're, let's say, using a live webinar model, which I'm a big fan of, live webinars have always been a hit for me, you can share that on LinkedIn. But let's say you've got a really, really good website. You can share your website. Or the other one, this is where what has been outstanding for me on LinkedIn, is let's say you've got really good blog articles that you've written. Sharing that on LinkedIn is great. So a lot of people who do really well on LinkedIn, I personally blog on my own website and I share it through LinkedIn. However, some people actually use the Pulse platform and blog straight into LinkedIn. That is a great strategy. Now, in your case, Doris, I know a bit about you. You're a high-end international marketer. If I was you, I would actually write at least an article once a week straight to LinkedIn about international marketing issues, and that would be a great lead generating source for you. So I would highly recommend that. Based on, I know a bit about you, Doris, so again, I can say that. So I hope that one helps. That is my take on that one. That's the Awesome Marketing Vault. The other thing I want to talk about too, awesome friends, is feel free to check out my website. Click on the homepage is all about the Awesome Marketing Vault. Click mentoring. You can download my corporate profile to learn more about what I do. And just winding up the webinar as well, I just want to thank a lot of people for the great images. XCOM 2, Spock, Eric Cartman, Fallout, Martha, Gordon Ramsay. I've used a lot of imagery which has gone great in tonight's presentation. So I just wish to thank you for all that. So there you go. This is thank you from Edward Zia. I'm coming towards the end of the live webinar. I'm very excited. We've had a great turnout tonight, a lot of great questions. It has all been recorded. So yeah, feel free to, I'm just going to hang out for the next 10 seconds. If you've got any questions, please send them through. If not, you're also welcome to email me. So please do. If you want to ask me any questions, please do. If you'd like to hire me and you're interested in my services, please just turn around and buy them. Or if you've got any questions about the Awesome Marketing Vault or what I do, hey, please ask me. I'd be happy to answer them and take you through it. So there you go. Thank you, awesome friends. I'm going to do a bit of a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like you're all busy and you're ready to join your evening. Thank you again, awesome friends. Just to let you know, the recording will be going up probably the next day or tomorrow. It'll go out my blog tonight, but it'll probably go out my email database the next day or two. I just want to say thank you for being a great audience. It's been absolutely fantastic working with you all. And again, please share it when it comes out. If you need a hand with anything, I'm here to help. Love your work, awesome friends, and have a fantastic evening, and talk to you all soon.